Next, we have a presentation from Rincon Resources with the ticker code RCR, a copper gold explorer with projects in Western Australia. To tell us more, I'm joined by the Managing Director, Gary Harvey. Hello, Gary.
Hi, Jane. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Great, thank you. Let me bring up your presentation.
So Rincon Resources, we're a 2-year-old company. We floated in December 2020, and we've been busily working three projects in our portfolio. We're a copper gold explorer. All our projects are in WA. Okay, so just the overview, the investment opportunity. Rincon has a tight shareholding, 51.3 million shares. We've got 2.5 million options. We've got $1.9 million cash, and we've got really good, strong top 20 shareholder support. We've got a tight capital structure, and we've got low free float. Now, we just move into our projects. You can see there on the right-hand side that we're sort of spread around the state of WA. Our flagship project is the South Telfer Copper Gold Project. Now, this has been the major focus of our exploration activities since we floated, and for obvious reasons. The Paterson province is considered elephant country. It's a tier 1 location, and I think we're all aware of the major deposits that have existed in Telfer, but also recent major discoveries at Harvey and Renew. And, you know, Rincon, we want to be part of that story. We think we've got a really good opportunity, and our portfolio is directly surrounding Telfer Gold Mine. So we're in a really good spot, and we're hungry for success. Our South Telfer project is complemented with 2 other projects. We have the Kiwirrkurra IOCG project in the Western Runter region, where we have multiple IOCG targets for testing there, and we've got 3,000 metres of diamond and RC drilling planned. We're just waiting on final access to get out there and start that program, and we hope to commence activities out there in the second half of the year. And our third project is the Laverton Gold Project, essentially in the heart of the Laverton Gold District, another tier 1 gold district. And we did some early drilling there back in early 2021 with a number of gold targets that we intend to follow up over the course of time. So I'm going to focus heavily here, I think, on the South Telfer Copper Gold Project. It is our flagship project, and again, just reiterating, it's home to a number of multiple million-ounce gold deposits, and indeed copper deposits with Renew. You can see that there's significant deposits there. On the left-hand side is highlighted in the red outline there. You can see our tenements, proximity to Telfer Gold Mine, also Harvey, and I think really importantly, our western tenement area, the larger of our tenement package there, encompasses over 25 kilometres of extended strike of the actual Telfer Gold Mine trend, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But essentially, our package contains 2 strategic mineralised trends. One we refer to as the Telfer Western Trend, and the second one is the Hasties Rose Trend. So this is a fairly intensive slide for you to read through, but it really gives us an overview of what we have and what we've done. And so we've got prospects on here. Our Hasties prospect is really been the focus of our drilling. Our Hasties is an outcropping copper gold system. It's just 12 kilometres as the crow flies from the Telfer Gold Mine, so there's pretty good access to a very hungry mill at Telfer. We've been doing some RC drilling and some diamond drilling at Hasties over the last year. Indeed, we've just completed a deep diamond hole with results pending. And you can see on the left-hand side some of the really nice thick intersections that we've achieved. It's pretty much close from surface. The Hasties deposit extends down about 150 metres and still remains open along strike in at depth, and we'll continue to work at Hasties whilst we start testing our additional targets along those 2 key trends that I've just mentioned. So the second half of the year is going to be quite exciting for us. We've got further RC and aircore drilling to start testing some new targets. Just some of the other prospects, most of these actually sit currently in the Hasties, what we refer to as the Hasties tenement area. We've got the Frenchman's Prospect. This is 900 metres north of Hasties. There's been historical drilling there, 39 metres, 0.2. We drilled one hole underneath it just to have a quick look when we were doing drilling at Hasties. We intercepted 4 metres at 1.74. That should be grams per tonne of gold. Sorry, not percent. And one at 2.34 grams per tonne. And indeed, Frenchman's, there's outcropping copper-bearing gossans at the surface as well. So we know the copper's there. This is just another prospect that we need to follow up and test striking depth potential. And recently we've just highlighted the new Kiwirrkurra Hill prospect. Now, this is a prospect where at surface there's over 200 metres of outcropping malachite, oxidised copper-bearing gossan. Limited drilling historically by Newcrest, and we've identified that there's over 2 kilometres of strike that's been untested, extending from that Kiwirrkurra Hill gossan. So we're excited about testing that in the near future as well. And the two key highlights, the two mineralised trends that I've been referring to, both sliding into our western tenement area. Again, we've got over 25 kilometres of both those trends in that western tenement area. Now, this is an area that's had very limited drilling in the past, shallow drilling. There's been one hole intercepting 8 metres at 3.85 grams per tonne there by Newcrest, and no real follow-up since the late 90s. So we're really just getting our permitting in place and our access into that area sorted out. We've got a heritage survey due in July, and once that's completed, we should be in there with over 5,000 metres of aircore drilling to start with, start testing some of these targets that we've identified in that western prospect area. I just referred to previously, I just touched on the fact that we've recently completed a deep diamond hole. Now at Hasties, now this was a diamond hole that we chose to drill to test a deep intrusive dolerite sill that was modelled underneath the Hasties main zone and Hasties southeast zone at the Hasties prospect. Now those two mineralised zones, you can see in that central figure there, two mineralised zones effectively sit up near the surface. They're related to an anticlinal fold hinge, which is analogous to the Telfer style of mineralisation. We have these reefs and breccias associated with these fold hinge zones. Now, with geophysics, we did some IP geophysics and combined that with the aeromagnetics. We've modelled this dolerite surface at depth, which is about 300 metres below the Hasties shallow mineralisation, and we chose to test this with a deep diamond hole, which was EIS funded. That hole was recently completed as about a month ago. We're told we're just about to receive assays for that hole in the coming weeks. Now, this is a fairly exciting hole. You can see some images there on the right-hand side. There is sulfide mineralisation, there's breccia zones, and there's certainly a lot of alteration that was visible. So we're confident we're into something that's potentially has the ability to host a significant size zone of mineralisation. And this is just the beginning. So what we're going to be doing once we receive the results of this diamond drill hole is to review those results in conjunction with all the previous RC drilling we've done, and really focus on where do we drill our next holes as we continue to try and develop the Hasties system, which we think has got potential for some good scale, and something that I think Newcrest and that mill at Telfer would like to see come their way in the not too distant future. Okay, so our next project is the Kiwirrkurra IOCG project. Now, we've got a reasonably significant holding in that area. We've got over 220 square kilometres. Now, the Western Runter region is pretty much a frontier exploration area, highly prospective for IOCG copper. And we think we've got one of the best targets in that area at Harvey. Harvey was drilled back in the mid-2000s by a company called Ashburton Minerals. intersected multiple zones of wide copper mineralisation, and the work that we've done leading up to this has really identified that that mineralisation previously intersected appears to be or interpreted to be sitting above the potential deeper source of that controlling that mineralisation. So with the help of our geophysicists, we've had a number of targets developed, not just over Picali, but over our tenement package. And two of those targets we think are quite compelling. And we've got 2 diamond holes planned to test those targets as soon as we get our access approved. And those 2 deep diamond holes, again, are both EIS co-funded by WA government. Thank you. And so we really look forward to testing those targets. And the outcome of that drilling will obviously determine how we progress that project. But we think it's, we think it's a really good project, and I'm actually quite keen on getting out there in the not too distant future. So we've got up to 3,000 metres in total. So that's diamond and RC drilling proposed to test Picali and some targets around Picali, and we'll look to start hopefully doing that in the next 6 months. So our final project is the Laverton Gold Project. This was a project that we started work first post-IPO. We did over 6,000 metres of air core drilling. We tested 4 areas, areas 1 to 3, as you can see on the right-hand side map, and a geochemical anomaly called GG anomaly. Of that drilling, two areas showed up as being, warranting further work. Areas 1 and 2, where we intersected modest zones of low level at this stage, supergene mineralisation. But both those zones were related to prospective structures, in particular area 2, which was related to a banded iron formation at depth. That banded iron formation is host to multiple shallow gold deposits at the Gladiator Mining Centre, just north of our boundary. And that structural corridor related to that banded iron formation actually trends down to the south, and just offset from that is the Wallaby gold mine, which is a 7 million ounce gold deposit, as some of you may know. So following that air core drilling, we took the time to sit on that and do a bit more mapping and develop some more targets on that ground. We did some aerial photography mapping that identified up to about 38, I think, new targets. A lot of those still need to be ground truth, and we're working through that process, so we can prioritise those for further work. But the Laverton Gold Project is probably the third in priority of our project. So this is something that we'll look to get back into from 2023 with some further air core and some RC drilling. So here's just a summary of our proposed works for the next 15 months. A lot of that is congested in the next 2 quarters, which will include some studies, some metallurgical test work for Hasties, some further mapping, and in conjunction with more RC drilling and air core drilling. Importantly, the air core drilling in the Western Tenement area. We're really looking forward to this, the first major sort of drill program that's been conducted in that area since Newcrest did their drilling back in the late 90s. And then also we've got the mapping and diamond RC drilling planned for Kiwirrkurra, again subject to getting some ministerial entry permits, and then follow-up drilling at Laverton, which we'll look to start towards the end of the second quarter of next year. So there's plenty of opportunities there for results in newsflow. So keep an eye on us. And if you want to contact me, feel free to contact me or visit our website for further information. That's it. Thanks, Jane.
Gary, thanks for the great presentation. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the results of that Hasties D poll as well. I'll just jump into a quick question now. So based on those results, when they do come through in the coming weeks, I think you mentioned, what's the program of work or of drilling? What's going to be happening up there?
Yeah, look, I think the diamond hole's quite an important milestone. I think it's going to provide us a lot of information about what the potential system looks like at depth below Hasties. Now, we'll get some external consultant eyes looking at that with us to help us understand, because there's quite a lot of alteration that we need to figure out what it means, and we'll benchmark that against this type of alteration and zonation mineralisation systems that are in the area. So it's a little bit new. It's probably the first deep or second deep diamond hole into that structural sequence, and that's the Hasties Grace trend. And so there's still a lot to be learnt from that. So based on the technical review of that diamond hole and the alteration, and of course complemented hopefully with some really good assay results, will really drive how we approach our next program. But all going well, certainly we'll be following up with further RC drilling and if not more diamond drilling. Now, if it's the other way around, then we'll obviously we've got plenty of targets to move on to. So we've got a big package, and at the moment we're focused on a 1.4 kilometre trend, and we've got over 65 kilometres of prospective strike to test. So there's plenty for us to do.
Well, I think you're right. That last slide in your deck just shows how much news flow you've got coming up. So I would encourage webinar attendees to reach out to Gary if they do have any other further details. But thank you so much for joining us.
Great. Thanks, Jane. Thanks, everyone.